Okay, learning to strum by ear. So, most beginning guitarists learn songs using strumming patterns, like say for example this. So then I'm going down, down, up, up, down. Now it seems like a nice simple way to get started, but after a little while it can start to sound a little bit stiff and too repetitive, right? Now, experienced guitarists generally strum by ear. They can just hear some music and just join in, right? Now you might notice there I'm not doing any particular pattern and that musical variation sounds really good, right? Now the good news is that it's pretty easy to learn to strum by ear. So even beginner guitarists can head straight over into that expert style strumming without having to learn too many different patterns. So let's get started. Now to make sure everything sounds good, what I'm doing here is just covering all the strings with my left hand to mute them and stop them ringing out. I'm just laying my fingers lightly onto the strings and you get this sound here. If you press too hard, you'll get this. So just make sure it's nice and light pressure on the strings. So the first thing to have a look at is the pulse. When listening to music, most people can tap their foot, right? Just hear a song, start tapping your foot, and you're doing this with a nice, steady, even beat. I call that the pulse of the music, right? It's very important when you're strumming because you need to strum down in time with that pulse. So if I was hearing a song, tapping my foot along, I'd be strumming down just the same way. So try it with me now. Try to focus on keeping that nice, even rhythm. Okay, so hopefully that's fairly straightforward. Some people will have some trouble hearing the pulse in more complicated music, but we'll work through some exercises to help you with that a bit too. Now, when playing music, you'll make things more interesting than that, right? By strumming up in between the downs. Now, you're already swinging your arm up after each down, right? Anyway, you're swinging up to get ready for the next down. So all you do is just hit on the way past, like that. Now, the difficult thing will be to make sure that the down strums stay in time with that pulse, whether you're hitting those up strings or not, right? So you don't want to do something like this. See how that pulse got lost there? Instead, it should sound more like this. Now, the easiest way to do this is to make sure that the down strums feel really strong. They should be the strongly accented beats. You want to keep focusing on them really, really hard and try not to think about the up strums. They should feel almost accidental. So if you can nod your head or tap your foot or something like that in time with those down strums, it can really help you to stay focused. So let's try it together. I'll start this pulse here. I'll get some down strums going and stay really focused on the downs if you can. And then I'm just going to add a couple of ups. Here we go. See how that down strum pulse stays all the same the whole time? Okay, so let's do a bit of an exercise to help you get better with that. First, I'm just going to do downs and then we'll do down up. So try it with me together. Here we go. Starting with just downs. Down, 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 ups as well. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Here we go. Back to just downs. And we'll do down up. Just downs. And then down up. Okay, so when you're starting to play along with songs, you'll usually be using a combination of just those downs and the down ups, right? Now, if I mix it up a little bit, it starts to sound much more interesting. It doesn't need to be really complicated. It gets much more interesting very quickly. So, okay, so the question then is, how do you know which combinations to play? Well, the interesting thing is it really doesn't matter. Instead of playing a strict repeating pattern, it's going to sound more musical if you just swing down in time with the pulse and add in those ups whenever you feel like it. Now, there's going to be more detail later on, like accenting specific beats and that kind of stuff. We can get to that later. At its core, that's really what the experienced guitarists are doing. They're just swinging in time with that pulse and hitting the strings whenever they want. Okay, so I'll demonstrate this idea now with the drum beat, starting with just downs and gradually starting to add in some ups whenever I want, just a few at a time. See if you can play along with me.